Good morning, good afternoon, whatever it is, wherever you are. It's me again, Jen. Hello! And it is Friday! Yay! It is the end of the week. It is nearing the end of the month. It is the 25th of September, and we have been reading from the Goddess Tarot all month. This is a tarot deck that's been in my collection for a really long time, which you can tell by the book. And it is written and illustrated by Chris Walder. And I'm super excited to have been able to really kind of poke at this deck a little bit more, as I typically use it just as an oracle deck once a month when I meet with my red tent people who I haven't had the joy of meeting with in a while. We did some virtuals, but it is what it is. So I did separate out the major arcana on the new moon for our virtual red tent event. And since then, that's all I've been kind of picking at is the major arcana, because while the whole deck is beautiful and wonderful, it is the major arcana that represent goddesses and the goddess tarot. So I thought it was kind of neat to just go through those. And it's like the mythology that is connected with those goddesses. So without further ado, let's find out what card we have for our Friday going into our weekend. Oh, that is a lovely card. It is love. Love is, it's still a different title than the traditional deck, but it is the Lovers more traditionally. It is number 6 in the major arcana, and it is represented by none other than Venus, the goddess of love. So in this deck, there are a few cards in the major arcana that tie back to the minor arcana and the suits. So in this case, Venus connects back to the cups, which makes perfect sense to me because cups are emotion, they are passion, they are love, they are those kinds of things. They are nurturing, all of which Venus does represent. Also, Venus is kind of both air and water at the same time because she is born of the marriage between those two things. What I love and also don't love about the love card, it's a lot of love right there, a lot of love on this Friday, is that this is the only representation of the lovers that I've ever seen that is only a single person or a single entity, shall we say, representing them. I'm not saying it's the only one in existence. It's the only one I've seen. So if you've seen other representation of the Lovers card with only one individual on there, please let me know in the comments because I would love to know about more. There's so much love coming out of my mouth right now. I'm kind of annoying myself. Okay, so Venus is all by herself, which actually if you were to quick glance at the image, I would say that I would think, oh, this is the Empress card, right? Because she is lounging on her chair, she is wearing red, she is very relaxed, she's kind of in her garden, and all of these things bring to mind the more typical representation of the Empress, which, and I'm totally speculating here, absolutely 100% speculating. I wonder if this image was initially created for the Empress and then they chose a different image. There's just so many things on here that lean heavy into the Empress. But there are a few things that do lean into the Lovers card. So obviously you have at least the woman on here for the Lovers. There is the fire represented back here, which in the Lovers there is fire. There is the tree that is growing fruit, also represented in the Lovers. And there is kind of this archway appearance back here, which isn't necessarily depicted in the Lovers, but it's the idea of an archway is there. The idea of going on to something greater and passage through something is there in the typical Lovers card. So I do like that they found a lot of little ways to weave in the more traditional aspects of the Lovers, but they removed the other lover. So I feel like in a way, this is a great representation of some of the lesser meanings of the Lovers card. While yes, the Lovers typically represents a romance, it represents relationships and connections to others, it also represents our connection to our higher selves and self-esteem and loving who we are and loving that connection to deity, whatever that connection may be. It doesn't have to be said as God or goddess. It could just be higher self or the universe. But it is that connection. With the Lovers, there is that divine connection that is being depicted. And I feel like in a lot of ways we glance right over that because we see the man and the woman, we immediately say relationship, love affair, romance. All of those things immediately come to mind, and we tend to miss that kind of soul connection, that deep connection of the individual. So I like it in that way. I also don't like the fact that there's no other lover, which is weird and a little strange. But it is what it is. And, when it comes to Venus, there's a long line of lovers, so it is what it is. I do love the beauty and brightness of this card because I think it definitely embraces that red and passion of Venus and what that means. The only way I think I would have loved this card more is if they had leaned into the more Botticelli representation of Venus rising from the water, which would have tied it back in beautifully with the connection to the suit of cups. Because if she's coming out of a goblet or she's coming out of a shell and there's water all around her, that would have been a great way to tie it back into, hey, by the way, this card, this goddess, we've tied back into the representation of the cups. That said, in the suit of cups, there's going to be a lot of water, there's going to be a lot of leaning into the Greek and the Roman pantheons, because that's kind of what she's representing in this too. Very flowing, very robe-like garment that she has. I'm trying to see, I don't know if that's her robe or if that's the seat that is rolling out from underneath her. But she does have the roses, and they are pink roses. Pink roses are usually a more innocent love, a more kind of a new love rather than that heat of passion with the red roses. So while she is wearing red, the roses that she has are pink, and that does represent a little more of that innocence behind things and not quite the lustful aspect of Venus. Not that there isn't a lot of lustful aspects to Venus. But all of that said, I think it's a really well-rounded representation of love. And a good representation, if you can look in the background for some of those nuances, a good representation of the lovers in the more traditional sense of the cards. I dig it. Also, I really like when it comes to the pantheon of Greek and Rome and stuff like that. Obviously, I grew up here in a Western culture where that was sort of bludgeoned on us in grade school. It's like, hey, learn about the gods and goddesses. And these are the ones we learned about. We learned about Egypt, but we also learned a lot about these guys. So, somewhere deep down in my roots is like, oh, that little kid that knows who Venus is and knows who Mars is and knows who all these characters are. So it is what it is. I really think this card is beautiful. It's bright, it's exciting, and it's an awesome card for a Friday. It's a good card for a Friday. And especially since it's the last Friday that we're going to be reading these cards. I will do 3 more cards next week with this deck, and then we're going to move on to something new and exciting for November. So until Monday, have a wonderful weekend. Stay safe, stay healthy, and spread the love. All right, I'm done being a dork for now. Bye!